Hi, and welcome back. It is day 2 of the 4-day challenge for the 90-day guide for success. My name is Jennifer Britton. I'm the author of Reconnecting Workspaces and the 90-day guide for success, which was published in 2021. What's exciting and why I'm doing this is to bring some awareness to the new Deckible card deck. It's a digital card deck. And so I want to take you into this 4-day challenge, giving you some value on helping you move in consistent ways. So welcome back. And I'm just curious, what did you notice as you thought about your work? And yesterday's topic was networking. So in the 90-day guide for success, it is a 90-day process. Deck 1, which is what we're doing right now, covers days 1 through 30. Whether you're onboarding or reboarding or simply wanting a sprint, the philosophy behind the 90-day guide for success is daily steps plus consistent action creates momentum. So many of you might have the book already, and you can follow along very easily, day 1 onwards. I want to mix it up a bit with the Deckible app. So that's where we're going today. I thought what might be interesting as a starting point is to also talk a little bit about this elements table, because that's where the journey really happens. And you have choice, but the notion is getting people into daily steps. And so over the last 3 decades, I've had the opportunity to onboard thousands of professionals, whether I've been doing that as a coach or more importantly, as a leader, seeing where people thrived, didn't thrive. And many times we're just dropped into new positions, or as entrepreneurs, every day we're being dropped into things. So it can be really useful to slow it down, to have those resources to help you work more effectively. Now, I don't have my copy of the book, but I have a copy of it in PDF format. And so typically in a book format, you're going to open the book and you're just going to start reading, right? So invite for you, if you don't have a book, one of the things that you're going to want is actually this table. And so I've done a mailing list. You're going to want to go through day to day to day, which is a different view of this elements table to start checking off what you've done. So invite, if you have the book, grab it. If you don't, I hope that you're going to actually scan this QR code right now or go to lp.constantcontactpages.com/SL/RxQ3PBB/90DG. Now, why I invite you to do that, because I want to get this to you and I can't get this to you any other way. And so if you sign up for that on a weekly basis, I'll be going in, pulling it, and I'll send you a copy of the 90 days along with the elements table so that you can follow along. What is fun, as we experimented with yesterday with the card deck, is we might go a lot of different places. So that's what we're going to be doing with our challenge process today. So to participate, really get the full value out of this, what you're going to need to do is head on over to Deckible.com, ideally doing it on your phone. And as you do it on your phone, once you have the app downloaded, right, I'm going to go to my Deckible app. Okay. And I'm going to click on Deckible. You can see all my apps there. Okay, so it's going to come up. And when you download your apps, they'll be here on the top line, right? These are the apps that are in the card decks that I've downloaded. You're going to see sort of a bubble. It's going to look very similar. This is an Android device, but you're going to see a bubble saying download it. These last 2 are my card decks that I've created this summer. We've got the Activate deck, which is for coaches who want to enhance their superpowers, as well as the 90-day guide for success deck. And that's what we're working with today. So once you've got it downloaded, you can click on it. Before we click on it though, what is nice, as you'll see, just a recap of where we were yesterday. Yesterday, I randomly pulled a card and the card was day 25, all about networking. As I shared, once you get into your card of the day, you're going to be able to look at the varying sides of the card. So every card has this as a back. Imagine a playing card deck. You can see the elements table. You won't know what it is until you flip and you tap. And so this is networking. Notice the date, number 25. That is, if you are following along on a 25-day process, you would find that here. And so I'm just going to put the phone down. Here is networking, and you might get to it later in your journey. If you're doing a sprint and you just really just want the excitement and sort of challenge of having 15 minutes a day to focus on something different, you may want to do this random pull. The next thing you're going to notice is, wow, different colors. So you can go in your elements table, or you can go in the card deck, because you'll see this is one of the first ones. What is that dark blue? There's a lot of blue going on here. This is sort of the lighter blue, and that is going to take you into a skills category. Okay, so networking is a skill set that we want to cultivate. As you go through your daily guide, I'm proposing take about 10-15 minutes. You're going to read through what it is, and you'll know the what by always having this question on the bottom. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And the question for this day is, what networks do you want to create? So you might take a moment as you look at the card. What are the networks I want to create? Okay, I want to connect in more with, for me, it might be coach training schools. Or I want to connect in with conferences that I can speak with. And then if I have the opportunity, I'm going to be able to use some of these questions that are here. This is going to help me prepare before the conversation. So what's the purpose of attending an event, or what's the purpose of making a call, booking a call with someone? What do I want to contribute? So that's a way of thinking about intentionality. What do I want to get out of the conversation? And more importantly, what do I want the partner to get out of the conversation, right? Conversations are dialogues. Two ways, and we do want to make sure that we are having that dia, that co-creation. Also, a reminder here, when do you want to follow up? So this alone is a great 5-minute card to reflect on. I can move from that because the card is not done. And the next side of the card actually gets us to think about some questions. Once I sit down with this person, what are we going to be talking about? And so there's a series, as I shared yesterday, of 7 questions. Think about this like the so what. So the first card, again, is looking at the what. What is the topic of the day? Oh, it's networking. And then what is the actual questions of the day? Okay, we're going to work on this. So you might be noticing I have to fiddle around a bit with this. The app is a little bit specific. So this is part of the learning curve why I'm doing this challenge. The third area is looking at the quote. So as I shared yesterday, the quote was, networking is the #1 unwritten rule of success in business. And that is also very intuitive. I think, what have I done? When I think about this quote, what have I done recently? The final piece, we're not done yet, because you're going to notice a little button down here which says video. And so you're going to be able to click on it and watch that video. It's going to come up for you in just a second. Okay, so you'll see me and you're going to hear and listen to it. So 33 seconds. The final piece that we did yesterday was we actually journaled on it. So you're going to notice there's a journaling function or a meditate function. The meditate function can simply be a timer, right? Many of you are doing time blocking. What time blocking means is creating a specific time window for this event. So if you're time blocking, as you get into the card, set the meditate function. It's automatically set for 5 minutes. You can also go a little bit longer, right? I might say I want to give it 13 minutes, and I'm going to start the timer. Maybe you heard the chime. That allows me now to go in and to actually work with it. And in 13 minutes, the chime will go off. Okay, so get comfortable with this. Again, you've got the 4 sides of each card. Note the number, note the color. Maybe you write down as well this image. As you go, or before you go for the end of the day, you're going to want to use a journal. And the journal, as I said, you can type in or you can verbally write it in. So what we're going to do in playing with this today, I'm going to close yesterday's. I saved it to the timeline, so it's going to come up as it did in yesterday's focus. We're going to open the deck together. And you can browse. Let's get into the browse function, which is a little different than what we did yesterday. So the browse function allows us to go day by day. Now, you'll notice there are 47 cards. That's because there are actually some intro cards here, which will get you going. So we're going to check this one off. I'm going to view it on the canvas, and I'm going to be able to drag it here. Okay, so once I click that up, I'm now going to see all 47 cards here. Some of them are turned upside down, and that's fine, but it does allow us to flip them around. You can use this little button that says flip, and it's going to flip the cards. So I can now see, oh, there's a card here for how to use this deck. That's valuable. I'm going to put that up on the canvas. How to use the cards. It makes it bigger. Congratulations on your choice to focus and create a daily focus on the results and relationships that surround your work. This guide was created as the second book of the Reconnecting Workspaces series, the 90-Day Guide for Success. You can use this as part of an onboarding process, as part of a daily focus for your work. The card deck is volume 1 and includes days 1 through 30, hence why there's 47, because we have a number of philosophical cards that I'm going to get into. Okay, so if I want to get rid of that card, what do? I can just close it down, right? I'm going to go to that and I can close it down. I want to save it to the timeline because I think it's valuable for me to go back and look at it. And then I'm going to go back into the card deck. We're going to go back into browse. So click on browse and go start. And again, card 0 of 47 selected. Just a reminder, we're going to go view on canvas. And that is now going to give us the layout when I click the little plus button. Again, I'm on an Android. So if you want to find those, you got to go back here. Let's bring another card to the canvas. And this is the second card in the series. This is entitled 4 Principles of the Cards and Work Today. And you would have heard me speak about this, but I want to really level set why we're doing this challenge, because number 1, as I read and write, daily steps and consistent action creates the traction and momentum we need in business. Just like the tagline in the planner workbook I created for virtual remote workers in 2019, Plan, Do, Track, daily steps and consistent action equals momentum. It's the cumulative events that add up. Key to remote work and key to work in the evolving workspace is getting into action and keeping in action. Consistency is one of the top 5 C's for success. We've seen how powerful daily steps add up in the 21 for 21 series of virtual co-working sprints. So that's the one that I want us to really double down on today. This is a 4-day challenge. So there are 4 principles. We've really been illustrating this daily steps and consistent action yesterday. I want to also draw our attention today to keep it simple. And as it says here, these are bite-sized pieces that don't need to take a lot of time. Each day, you're encouraged to build in 15 minutes to take a look at that daily tip and consider the conversations and questions associated, with the idea that small steps add up. 15 minutes a day of reading and journaling can create a valuable treasure trove of learning and insights that you can return back to. Miss a day? Not a problem. Return back. I think what is realistic in today's world is there are going to be days that we miss, which is why, again, I love the journaling function. So I'm going to close this card by tapping it again. Okay, maybe I want to close it down. So I'm going to close it down, and I'm going to save that to the timeline as well, because I want to see how this is spanning out. The beauty here, if you do have a lot of details to manage, what I love about Deckible is it lays everything out in a way that I can see, what have I done? So yesterday we did networking. Today we're talking the philosophy of it all. We're also looking at, how to use the card deck. We still haven't pulled the card for the day. So let's go back into the deck. Okay, we're going to do a quick draw again. I'm going to pick one card and I'm going to start that process. Let's see what has been brought into our awareness. And it's the welcome card. So we're going to pick a second one, but I did want to speak on this today because the 90-day guide, as you can see with this very colorful elements table, helps us dive into all 9 key skills. I will be saving this to the timeline so we can come back. But one of the key skills I talked about already was skills. and we'll see what other ones come up today. So before I leave here, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to actually, okay, I'm not going to zoom in. I'm curious if there's a video. There's no video showing up. So I'm going to close it down. And it does say, do you want to save to the timeline? Absolutely, because I want to be able to go back and actually have a quick way to search for how these cards are being seen. Now, phones are always a little finicky. Of course, I closed down the app. So to refresh, and this is great for everyone, I go to Deckible. I go to the card. Again, we're doing a random pull. Let's do a quick draw start. And I'm going to go to layout just to make sure that this is really easy. I'm randomly pulling today, and we're going to day 19. So to see this one in action, I'm bringing it up onto the canvas. Well, I don't want the day 19. I want to close this one. Discard changes. Let's go to start again. Layout. We're going to flip these because I want to see all of them. Day 19 is what I said with motivation. I'm going to bring out motivation. Won't come up, so let's go with what is on, which is context and navigating VUCA, which is also known as BANI now. So VUCA is an acronym for the business context described by volatility, the fact that it's ever changing. Things that once were stable are now changing. In your organization, role, or industry, how are things changing rapidly and broadly? I want you to pause this if you're listening. What are the changes? 3 things that you've seen in the last 3 months. This is key. Number 2, uncertainty. What's happening today may not happen tomorrow. What you notice about the level of uncertainty in your work? Where does it show up? And I'd add a third question here, which is, how are you navigating uncertainty right now? Third one, complexity. Complexity is being created by many forces, from changes in technology to changes in the way we do things. Think about AI. In what ways is your work becoming more complex? What do you notice about your approach to complexity? And finally, ambiguity. Ambiguity refers to how things are not always clear. Things may have more gray areas rather than being discretely black and white. What are you noticing about ambiguity? And what does that mean in your context? So as we navigate in, I want you to notice today's image, right? There's significance in these icons. And there is, of course, the 90-day dice that are available. If you're familiar with some of my more recent speaking as a coach, I'm talking a lot more about the navigational elements of this in our coaching relationship. So what are you doing for results and relationships, for action and awareness? Okay. So lots to journal on here. Maybe you want to take some notes as you go. I'm going to keep going just in interest to this because there's a second piece around VUCA. Part of VUCA is also thinking about what's beyond your screen and getting us to think about layers of context. So what is happening right now that's influencing your work, your role, your relationships, your results? There are 7 layers of context that I talk about in Reconnecting Workspaces. And these are some areas that, might be an inquiry. Where am I noticing change? What needs attention? What am I paying attention to? What am I not paying attention to? And so that can happen from all levels. For some of you, you're going to be looking at yourself, your focus, your motivation, your well-being. What about the immediate surrounding, the micro context of your world? Also your office space, your focus, the motivation created by where you are, not just the internal. Number 5, working upwards, is the team level of your world. How is the team influencing where you're going? And 4, leadership. If you're in an organization, what influence is there from the leaders, or the organizational influence, or the context of the industry you're in. What changes are happening? We're seeing a lot of changes in a lot of industries. And then finally, the global and meta level. So the inquiry question down here, what are you noticing about the context you operate within? This is really quite a key piece. Here's a quote. This comes from Plan Do Track. I'm going to make it bigger. Maybe you can see it. Today's VUCA context is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. It's a context where things are changing radically and rapidly, and good enough has become a mantra. I wrote that 5 years ago. I think it's more important today than it was even back then. And some of you might be familiar with a related term. This is an add-on. And the add-on simply is BANI. So I'm going to add that on. Some of you are talking BANI. Certainly in the world of the clients that I support, we are working with both. And BANI fits another set of words. So BANI is about the fact that the world is brittle, anxious, nonlinear, and incomprehensible. I think that's interesting framing, right? Is it brittle? B, A, anxious, N, nonlinear, I, incomprehensible. I believe that that can coexist with VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. With BANI, I think some of this is part of mindset as well, which is why taking these 15 minutes or more a day becomes really, really critical. So we're just about to wrap up. I want to invite you as a reminder to take some time to journal. What's important? I'm going to add my journal entry, and I'm going to do it by voice because it's faster. And I'm going to say, today, as day 2 of the 4-day challenge, we explored VUCA. I also touched on BANI. And to me, BANI is an interesting opportunity to explore mindset. To me, VUCA is much more contextual. We spent about 15 minutes looking at this and exploring, and I hope that it was useful for all our participants. Tap the end, and that's it. And as I close out on this, I'm going to make sure that I save it. Now, there's one more thing to do, and that's to watch today's video. So give it a moment. It's going to come up. And you can listen to me in a bit of a high speed because I wanted it to be a thing. It's about navigation. All right. You can slow down the video if it's moving too fast. But as we go to close out, make sure that you're saving to the timeline. So just a recap of where we've been and why I like it. We looked today at how to use the cards. We also then looked at the first 2 of these 4 principles. We also looked at a couple of the welcome areas. They're all 9 areas that we need to be successful in the evolving workspace. And then finally, our theme of the day, day 12, excuse me. For some of you, you might be saying, but I don't like VUCA, go with BANI, right? Key here is be thinking about context and how you're being influenced by the context around you. I hope you've enjoyed today. We're back tomorrow for day 3. We'll be doing another card pull. Most importantly, try this out. You can have a 3-day trial on Deckible. Head on over to Deckible.com. You'll download the app to your phone so that you can start seeing the history of your learning. And I hope that you'll share this with other members of your team or colleagues that you work with. It can be really powerful to go through this as a group. All right, I will see you tomorrow, same time. Be well.